Hey, welcome back to another award-winning Birmingham Racecourse Casino starting lineup.
I don't have room on my shelf for all the awards we're winning.
Yeah, I know, right? He's Kip Keefer. He's a legend. I'm Tony Curry. Before we get into our talk today, what do we got in Kip Perspective today, my friend?
Well, Kip Perspective is going to be my experience at Sloan's downtown for the Kentucky Derby last Saturday.
Right.
Talked to a lot of interesting people. It was kind of high society, and they didn't kick me out, so that's the good news.
You fit right in.
But we watched the Derby in style right downtown, and it was fantastic, so that's what we're going to revisit today.
It's dark and it's loud. It must be the Legend Cave. What's you got going on inside the cave today?
Tony, we're going to talk about the 2014 playoff, and we're also going to talk about something that Rodney Orr said this week when it came to the philosophy on how to build the Alabama roster.
And I spent all morning putting together a top 10 list of the top 10 mothers of all time.
Oh, boy.
We're going to have that in bone fragments coming up here. And a happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. I hope you're enjoying your fantastic weekend. You're looking after Mama coming up on Sunday. I know that means something special to all of us, Kip.
Now, we've got something really good for all those moms because they can have a lot more money in their purse now. If they'd have listened to Tony Curry last week, right here on the starting lineup, let's take a quick look back in the last Saturday machine and see what Tony said about the Kentucky Derby.
I love the Golden Tempo. 30-1 Golden Tempo, ridden by
Oh, he's
Jose.
one of my second choices. Okay.
Ridden by Jose Ortiz. Horse is known not only his consistency, but man, it can come from behind. It may have to do that if it's crunched up against the rail. I like this horse. It's run 4 times. Same rider all 4. I think it's got a shot 30-1. At least maybe play it place, maybe show, maybe win some cash. If it's going off 30-1, it's good stuff.
So as you can see, Golden Tempo, 30-1 morning line, 23-1. Comes from last to first to win the Run for the Roses. First ever for a female trainer, Cherie DeVoe.
How about that? And you brought up something interesting during our podcast earlier in the week on Tony Curry Radio, the fact that line dropped from 30-1 to actually 23-1. And why do you think that was?
Well, I mean, you know, you started looking at the race and the favorites were lukewarm. They were 4, 5, 6-1. Mm-hmm. So when that happens, everybody's odds come back down because people are just taking shots with horses, and it's kind of getting the reputation. We had Rich Strike at 85-1 a couple of years ago. Yeah. So that makes Golden Tempo look like one of the favorites.
And unfortunately, that horse who won the first leg in the Triple Crown, what's he doing for the Preakness?
He is not competing, and this is an interesting topic.
What a bummer.
It's really a shame. You've got to win 3 races in 5 weeks, and modern day trainers think that's too demanding for this generation of horses, but it really does a disservice to the sport because there's a lot of people, Legend, that only focus on that every year, and if you don't have a Triple Crown opportunity, it really takes away from everything and really hurts horse racing.
Yeah, it takes away the appeal for me. Now I just see it as another race to bet on, if you're in the horse racing. It takes the, what's the word? Boom! It takes the boom away from it.
Yeah.
It takes the excitement away. It's Triple Crown! But I understand it's like the modern day pitcher who can only go 6 innings. These modern day horses, they can't run every 2 weeks.
They can't. It's really a shame. As Tony mentioned a minute ago, I was at Sloan's downtown for the Kentucky Derby. Let's take a look at my experience there. Met some great people. We're going to go to that, and then we'll be back on the other side. Kip Keefer Sports is out and about in downtown Birmingham on Derby Day 2026. Kentucky Derby number 152 getting ready to run in about a half an hour. A field of 20 horses will be going for the biggest prize in horse racing, the Run for the Roses, the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. We can't wait here. We're at Sloan's downtown. Beautiful setting, a nice gathering of folks coming in for a Saturday evening of entertainment, and highlighted by, once again, the race that started in Louisville at historic Churchill Downs under the Twin Spires, the famous architectural feature. It started in 1875. A horse named Aristides was the very first winner of the Kentucky Derby. The tradition has carried on year after year ever since, and this is going to be an exciting edition of the Derby. There's several favorites in the race. Renegade, who drew the dreaded one-post position. We'll see if he can overcome that and get the job done for the best jockey in the country. Irad Ortiz and the Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher. I like the two Brad Cox horses coming up. As we told you on the starting lineup on this morning's show, as that we're later in the afternoon, of course, getting ready to watch the race. So you're seeing our whole day unfold right here on the starting lineup. We're going to talk to some folks, get their picks, and then we're going to show you watching them watch the race and get reactions afterwards. So a big day. We've got Marlo taking care of all the technical aspects, and it's a beautiful afternoon to be here at Sloan's downtown. A fabulous place. Check it out, first chance you get. We're going to have more as the Kentucky Derby special coverage of Keefer Sports continues. We're at Sloan's for the Kentucky Derby Bash coming up in about a half hour. The Run for the Roses, number 152 at Churchill Downs under the Twin Spires. And right now, have you ever felt like a pair of brown shoes in a closet full of tuxedos? Well, that's how I'm feeling now because I got Bob and Tyree on either side of me. Bob, let's start with you. Want to get some people's feedback on who they're looking at as far as their favorite in the race. Who do you like today?
I'm picking Renegade.
Renegade for the Todd Pletcher barn. You know, he's got the top jockey in the world in Irad Ortiz. He was the favorite, but a lot of people are shying away from him because of that one post. But he comes from behind like a freight train. You probably like that.
Yes, I think that'll work good for him today.
Okay, the Renegade is in the books. Bob likes him. Tyree, big Auburn fan, looking forward to a better season down on the plains with Alex Golish in charge. But speaking of who's going to be in charge, who's going to be in charge in the stretch today in Louisville?
I've got two ponies right here. I've got Chief Wallaby and Commandment.
Commandment?
What do you think of those?
I like them. Chief Wallaby, a lot of people don't realize Commandment is the co-favorite in the race, but he only beat Chief Wallaby by about as close as you and I are standing together right now in the Florida Derby. So people kind of ignoring that. Chief Wallaby not getting enough respect. So I like it. You guys, I wish we had a betting window here. We need to step up. We need to step up and turn this into some cash. Bob, Tyree, thank you guys. Enjoy the race. And if your horse wins, we want to have you back so you can take a bow. Kip Keefer will have more from Sloan's right after this.
And so, Jerry, you have to be very careful and patient trying to understand that jockey and horse relationship that we talked about before. The humans to the horse is so important at a time like this.
It's a fine line, right? You want them ready. When they walk in that starting gate, you want them to up to the point that they're ready to run when the gates open, but you don't want them too nervous because you never know what's going to set a horse off. If you could be in the gate, another horse act up and set a horse off.
And when a horse looks like that and lands as hard as he did, there's really no time to do a proper veterinary examination, so they err on the side of caution and take him out. So now he has a field of 8-2.
Well, time to wrap it up at Sloan's. We just watched history, which happens a lot in the Kentucky Derby. It seems like the racing gods always know just the right storyline to tweak. We watched history today, the first time in 152 years that a female trainer, in this case Cherie DeVoe, one of the rising stars in the business, brings home the winner with Golden Tempo, a big 25-1 long shot, a stunner today in the Kentucky Derby. She had already become the first female a couple of years ago to win a Triple Crown race when she captured the Belmont, but today, the granddaddy of them all, the fastest, most exciting 2 minutes in sports, Golden Tempo becomes the winner in shocking fashion. And if you listened and watched the starting lineup this morning right here on ABC 3340 on Derby Day, you found out that Tony Curry picked Golden Tempo and that big long shot price. And I also had Golden Tempo on my list as the likely runner-up with my two picks, the 6 and the 18. So we gave you some pretty good information on one of the longest shots in the race. That's why you should never, ever miss an episode of the best sports show on television, the starting lineup. Sloan's, 2nd Avenue, downtown. Fabulous place to go. Come check it out. We watched the Derby here today, had a great time. thanks to the whole staff for accommodating us and all of our great guests today. Kip Keefer from Arlo Hutto, we want to thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you the next time as we stay on the road to the Triple Crown. Maybe Golden Tempo is going to shock the world. Cherie DeVoe can get the Triple Crown unofficially in a different year if she wins the Preakness in Baltimore in 2 weeks. So Kip Keefer from Sloan's, it's been a blast. We'll see you next time.
Tony Kirk, Tone the Bone back at you. Bone Fragments, first brought to you by the wonderful Woodhouse Day Spa. These guys do such a wonderful job. I talked to Stu Rome earlier this week. He's been traveling all over the world trying to find the best equipment for the Woodhouse Day Spa. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Tomorrow's Mother's Day. It's not too late. Go on their website. Guys, it takes you like 10, 15 seconds. Easy to navigate. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com. The Woodhouse Day Spa. She's absolutely going to love it. I promise you. Sasquatch Toys and Comics also. I saw Seth earlier this week down there in Citation Lane in Homewood. Over 300,000 comics. And any toy you're looking for, Legos, you name it, comic books, they got you covered. Sasquatch Toys and Comics. It is time for the top 10 mothers of all time. Number 10, we're going to start with Stacy's mom. One of the finest videos ever made. Of course, you don't talk about Rachel Hunter in that movie. Oh, she looks fantastic. That's one of those videos, man, I could see it every single time. Not the greatest song, but probably one of the greatest videos we've ever seen. That, of course, done by Fountains of Wayne back in 2003. Number 9, we're going with Mom's Music. I'll bet you that when Kip Keefer drove right by Mom's Music in beautiful Louisville, Kentucky this past weekend in Melwood Avenue is where you can find, of course, Mom's Music. If you're looking for a great place to buy a musical instrument or you just want to hang out and you never know who's going to stop by, Leonard Skinner, rock and rollers to stop by, it's almost like Shoal Creek, man. It's unbelievable. It's like the Shoals. Rock and rollers start by Mom's Music in Louisville, Kentucky every single day. Number 8, Mother's Little Helper. What a drag it is getting old. That's the Rolling Stones. Mother's Helper's number 8. Number 7, before Michael Keaton played Batman, he played Jack Butler in a little movie called Mr. Mom. It was produced by John Hughes, had Terry Garr, and it was one of the funniest movies. That's a movie I haven't seen in a long, long time. I'm going to go rent me some Mr. Mom tonight. It is fantastic. It's a great movie. Number 6, Mother, do you think they dropped the bomb? How about Mama? That's from Pink Floyd. Remember the old character Pink? Pink for the Pink Floyd movie, The Wall. That comes in at number 6. Number 5, a band in the 70s and 80s. And I can remember hearing this band. I don't think I've heard one of their songs since then. They're still on the road doing their things. A band called Mother's Finest. Man, they do R&B, classic rock, funk in your face. They are fantastic. Love Changes, Baby Love, Pieces of the Room. They do some fantastic music. Pull up Mother's Finest, and you will get some of the Mother's Finest. It's wonderful. Number 4, Queen from 1976. The album was called Day to the Races. Had the song Somebody to Love. It also had a song called Tie Your Mother Down, which is one of my favorite Queen songs of all time. Man, anytime that song comes on, I play on Tony Curry Radio all the time. Whenever that song comes up, man, just crank it up to 11 and let it rip. Queen's Tie Your Mother Down. Number 3, she passed away at the age of 87. She was canonized back in September 2016. She won a Nobel Peace Prize. Her name is Mother Teresa. She once said, if you judge people, you don't have time to love them. Interesting. And maybe something we should all remember a little bit more. Mother Teresa is my 3rd mother on the top 10 list of best mothers all time. Of course, number 2, you know who that is. It's got to be Mother Mary, man. She gave it to us. Baby Jesus. She did everything right. All she had to do is say yes. The rest is history. And we've been saved because of Mother Mary. And number 1, the all-time greatest mother of all time would be my mom, Jane Ida Curry. She passed away back in 2010. She was married to my dad for 55 years. And some people say, how'd you do it 55 years? And she said, well, 45 of them sucked. The other 10 of them were okay. 45 were rough. We used to always joke about that. No, really. They loved each other for 55 years. My mom was great. She actually went through Alzheimer's. And the last time I saw her, she walked up to me. We were having a little gathering at my dad's house. And she walked up to me and she didn't know who I was. And she said, I saved your life twice. And then walked away. And I was like, I didn't know what she was talking about. And she came back a few minutes later and she goes, I saved your life twice. And turned around and walked away. And I was like, okay. And I still don't think she knew who I was. And a few minutes later, she walked up to me. She goes, I gave birth to you and I got a gobstopper out of your throat when you were 16 years old. I gave you the Heimlich maneuver. She goes, I saved your life twice. And I said, yes, ma'am. That was my mom. My mom knew exactly what she did. She knows her place in my heart. And I wish her a happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. remember, even if you're going through divorce or whatever, man, they still gave birth to your children. They do wonderful jobs as moms, and we love you for it. Happy Mother's Day. And thanks for watching the Birmingham Racecourse Casino starting lineup.
Hey, welcome to the Legend Cave, where a few men have ever sat. I'm talking about the great Paul Feinbaum, the great Taylor Hicks, Kip Keefer, Monty Bauer, Tony Curry, Ronnie Van Zant, and you know Bear Bryant in the background. I want to talk to you this week about a serious topic, and that is the fact that all the college football commissioners, all the college football coaches, all the college football athletic directors, and did I say the presidents of the colleges? I want you to know one thing. They don't give a damn about me and you, the fan, or the player. Now, you would say, now, Legend, you're a little extreme. No, I'm not. Because now they want to bring in a 24-team playoff. Do you know what a 24-team playoff means, ladies and gentlemen? It means that some teams will have to play 16 or 17 games to win a championship. Do you know what it's like to be 18, 19 years old and have to play 15 or 16 games to win a championship? Do you know what that does to the body? Do you know last year Alabama played with Ty Simpson with a broken rib, with 3 defensive players with broken bones in the Rose Bowl because they had to go play an SEC championship game? Why? Because they want that money, baby. They want that money. That's right, them commissioners, them athletic directors, them coaches, they want that money. Bear said, Bear back and say, give me the money. But they don't care about the fan. They don't care about the tradition. It's all about the money. And that's a shame, ladies and gentlemen. We have went from 2 teams to 24 teams. 24-team playoff, all in the name of money. Money! Not in the name of what's best for the player, what's best for the fan. No, baby, it's all about the greenback. That's the only thing the commissioners care about. That's the only thing the presidents care about. And ladies and gentlemen, it's the only thing that the coaches in America care about is the greenback dollar. The game. The fan. We have been forgotten. We have been pushed to the side. Every fan you talk to, they'll tell you, I don't want no 24-team playoff. I don't want that crap. I don't want an NIL system where I don't know my players year to year. But in the name of money, hey, it don't matter what me and you think. It only matters what those that control the purse strings matter, baby. That's the only thing that matters. Now let's talk about the Alabama roster for a minute. Rodney Orr of Tighter Insider said this week that the Alabama roster is 5th or 6th in the SEC when it comes to rankings and finances, meaning that Alabama's like 6th place in spending money on players. And my problem with that is it's hypocritical. If we're going to pay our coach a top 5 salary, if we're going to pay our AD a top 5 salary, if we're going to give Courtney Morgan a top 5 salary, then the Alabama roster ought to be a top 5 financial monster in college football. Don't tell me we got the 18th ranked financial roster in college football that there's 17 teams spending more money than us when we're top 5 in the nation and paying a coach that's already lost 8 games. You see, here in the Legend Cave, we got to get crazy. I'm kidding. We allowed to get crazy because it all comes down to the money. Money, 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 like Pink Floyd said. Damn, shouldn't it be about the fan, about me and you? No, baby, it's about the money. If it's about the money, Greg Byrne, get some money and get us in the top 5 or get the hell out of town. Hey, remember, it's just a game. Don't be like the money man legend, Plum Sports Insane.
Hey, it's Case Keefer, sports bettor, longtime sports betting writer, and sports editor for Greenspun Media Group, which includes Las Vegas Sun and Las Vegas Weekly, back for another edition of the Vegas Heaters, where we talk about sports every week from a gambling perspective. Always like to touch on the biggest things going on in the betting world, and lately, of course, that is the NHL and the NBA playoffs. We've kind of strayed the last few weeks just because timing-wise, as far as when we film this segment, it doesn't set up very well to talk about what games are going on. We don't have the lines yet, don't have the totals. However, I've been talking about futures all season long, have some in good position. Thought maybe we drop in today and talk about how I'm looking at the rest of the playoffs in each of those. Let's start in the NHL, where unfortunately, God, I heard we lose the Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 7. From before the season started, more than a year ago now, we had Colorado to win the Stanley Cup in the Western Conference, Tampa Bay to win the Stanley Cup and the Eastern Conference. I really strongly believe those were the two best teams. I was cautiously optimistic we were going to get that matchup in the Stanley Cup final, but a lot of randomness in hockey doesn't work out. So we're left searching in the Eastern Conference, where right now it just looks like the Carolina Hurricanes and everyone else, they're as high as minus 200 at the time of recording to win the Eastern Conference. And I would pump the brakes just a little bit on that. We've seen this team get to the Eastern Conference final year after year and struggle there. Now, if you've watched the segment, you know you're probably saying you're not a big history guy. You don't care what happened necessarily with an entirely different team last year, and that is true. However, I think that I'm going to be on the other side, be it Buffalo or Montreal, whoever comes out of that top half to get there. I just look at this series with Philadelphia. It's probably going to be a sweep, or at least maybe 5 games. They're going to be 7-1 or 8-0 going into the finals. They had such a great draw. Philadelphia didn't belong, and then some of their best players get hurt. This was the easiest second round series. It's really Mars kind of the NHL postseason the way it's set up. If you look on the West side, it's the same thing. Vegas is going to have, I think, an easy path to the Western Conference final. I would bet them almost every game against Anaheim with how the market is right now. I don't like Anaheim there. However, I think they aren't one of the 2 best teams in the West. I think they probably get smashed by Colorado in the West. I think it's kind of the opposite in the East. I think Carolina is going to get there, and I think Buffalo or Montreal is going to be a really tough opponent when they haven't had much along the way. Ottawa, they swept. However, all those games were really close. I did give out Ottawa on the show, so I can't say they haven't played any good opponent. However, I think those games were just closer than the sweep makes it out. I'm kind of leaning Montreal in the series to end up taking on Carolina, but I think either way, I'll be looking at the underdog there. Frederick Anderson has just turned into an amazing goalie. When he struggled all year, it makes no sense. Just another kind of a weird hockey thing. However, I trust Montreal's young team a little bit better. I trust Jacob Dobich, if he ends up being the goalie on the other side, or even Buffalo. They've been such a great story this year. A team we were really on from the beginning of the year. I gave up Lindy Ruff to win the NHL's equivalent of Coach of the Year. Looks like that's going to get through. Unfortunately, I didn't buy any big-time futures on them to win the Stanley Cup, to win the Eastern Conference. Kind of looking at as a mistake now. Wish I would have. So Montreal or Buffalo, I'll be looking at one of those teams maybe to pull the upset in the Eastern Conference Finals. The NBA, we had an even harder loss in the Eastern Conference. Right before Jason Tatum came back, I gave out a bet on this program on Boston to win the East, I believe at 5-1. Closed great. They were the huge favorite. Looked like they were going to run through the East. And never tell me there's no parity in the NBA postseason again, because Philadelphia, it all comes together for them in that glorious 3-game stretch. They knock out Boston. I didn't see it coming. It's a tough one to swallow. However, you know, we built everything around 2 teams, Boston and Cleveland. We still got Cleveland going. I know at the time of recording, they're down 1-0 to Detroit. However, I kind of think they're going to come back. I like them a little bit more in a game-to-game scenario there. I think at their peak, they still could be the best team in the East, could easily win this. However, they're just so inconsistent. They don't really get it together on a game-by-game basis. Have to admit that the Knicks look really scary at the moment. I think Cleveland would be a slight underdog if they can get through Detroit to get to the Knicks. However, I still think that's a coin flip series. I could see Cleveland coming out, so let's hold there. Let's hope Cleveland gets through. Otherwise, I think we're looking good. We were all in on Oklahoma City. I gave out Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to win NBA Finals MVP at the beginning of the playoffs. That looks like it's in position. Of course, Oklahoma City to win the title at the beginning of the year. I know that wasn't that bold, but I just think there's a big gap with the Thunder and everyone else. So the Thunder already covered big in Game 1 against the Lakers. It's going to be hard to bet against them in any of these series. I think all the other series could come down, could go long with the exception of the Thunder series and the Knicks series. I think those two will be pretty easy. I'm looking to target more of those 2 teams in a game-by-game scenario. In the other ones, I do think it'll be long. I think maybe you look at some zigzag. Look at the team that lost the one game, come back on them the next game. Again, I like Cleveland to ultimately get through. And I do think San Antonio survives Minnesota, but I think Minnesota with Anthony Edwards now could drag them out a little bit. Ultimately, I'm not scared of either of them. I know it sounds weird with the Spurs having beat the Thunder more times than not this year, looking like they really caused some matchup problems for them. But I just think it's the Thunder's year. Again, I think we will have a back-to-back champion. We'll go there. Big week next week, the PGA Championship, second major of the year. Of course, I gave out a ton of guys that I bet last week, headlined by two of the hottest players in the world right now, Cameron Young, Matthew Fitzpatrick. We've built that portfolio up over the last several months. Also throughout Xander Schauffele, Russell Henley. Got a bunch of guys on the PGA Championship. We'll talk about it more next week. For now, though, let's see what the rest of the starting lineup has to say before we wrap up.
Yeah, as we get ready for Mother's Day here at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, starting lineup, I want to thank our good friends Stuart Rome, the Woodhouse Day Spa. This is a perfect fit for him because tomorrow is Mother's Day. He absolutely drills it on Mother's Day. It's a fantastic way to show your love for Mama. I promise you, she will not want to return this gift. Get a gift card.
No.
Go to birmingham.woodhousespas.com.
Flowers wilt, chocolate makes you fat. Spa day is a perfect gift.
Day. You know, go take care of your baby, and then while she's doing that, you go out and play golf with the guys. You do that. Maybe she can return the favor there, Legend, coming up on Father's Day, which you're father, aren't you?
No, I'm not a father.
Are you sure there's not one out there with you on it?
No,
oh, come on now. There's got to be a little one out there somewhere, a little baby Legend.
No, unfortunately, a couple miscarriages. It wasn't meant to be for the Legend, and probably the Lord knew what he was doing when you think about it.
Well, there's still time.
There is still time.
I could pull an Abraham. If there's a Sarah out there who's willing. I wouldn't advise it, Sarah. I wouldn't advise it, Tony.
No.
I'm not a top prospect no more, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not a top prospect.
All right, Kip, what's going on in your world, man? You're everywhere.
Oh, the Birmingham Racecourse Casino is what's going on. It's going gangbusters. Everything is fantastic. We're going to have a brand new race and sports bar opening in the month of June. Looking forward to that.
We're going to be doing our show from down there, right?
Yeah, we certainly are going to have a set and be able to do television and radio from that location. It's going great. It's open 24/7, and it is a fantastic place. The gaming floor is top notch. If you haven't been out there yet, you have not been out there because it is phenomenal, completely different, and it's blowing up right now. The really action capital of the South.
It really is. It's fantastic. And again, a lot of people just have not gone out there in a while. I beg you, go out there and check it out. It's beautiful. It is a crown jewel here in the great state of Alabama. What you got going on this weekend, my man?
Well, I just remember my mom, Rosemarie Wilson, the greatest mom ever. She's been going 7 years now, and I am where I am today because she never gave up on me. And if your mom ain't with you no more, take a few seconds as I did today and just mention her name. You know, when you mention their name out loud, they're really never gone.
That's true. And they can still hear us. They're still up there. My mom was one of those moms where if you ever needed a prayer answered, you go through Jane Ida, man. You call her up, and she was that kind of woman. And unfortunately, she was taken from us about 16 years ago through Alzheimer's. But some interesting stories about her we'll get into some other day. You and I had a great podcast. If you ever get a chance to go back and check out Keefer and Curry on Tony Curry Radio, we did an entire Mother's Day episode once, which had us both almost to tears, which was fantastic. So, all right, 112 days away from college football season. Will be here before you know it. Of course, you know this show right here. The starting lineup, Birmingham Racecourse Casino starting lineup, butts right up against that 11 o'clock ABC SEC game of the week. Last year, I think it was Georgia Clemson the first week, Alabama Auburn, all the big games. It goes on every single Saturday right here on ABC 3340. Have a wonderful weekend.